Hello, and welcome back to the Seven series. I am Marie White, and I am here with Lorian Janine, and I'm so excited to be here with you.
I am too.
So, Lorian, did you first discover that passion you had for music?
Well, I actually grew up surrounded by music in my family on both sides. There are a lot of singers or instrumentalists. My sister sings, the other sister plays flute and piano, my brother plays guitar, the other brother plays trumpet. So it's just, there was a lot of music growing up, and so that kind of fueled my passion. And I actually started out, a lot of people know me as the violinist. I started out playing violin, and I really didn't discover a passion for singing and songwriting until late teens. So, but it started in my household, in my upbringing.
So, with that, starting as a violinist and then moving into doing singing and songwriting, how did you find your style of music or your little niche you wanted to be in?
That's a great question. Honestly, I would say that I am still in the process of finding it. I think the first song I ever wrote, what naturally came out of me was a style that is kind of like country, folk, neo soul, like my first two songs. And so I guess you could say that since those come out of me most naturally, that's the style that I came into. But I really liked, I went through a phase where I loved like country singers. I mean, I still love country, but I listened to Tim McGraw a lot and country pop, like Taylor Swift, the old Taylor. and But then also listening to NDRE, and then I grew up with gospel, jazz, and classical. So all those things meshed together to kind of form the kind of sound that naturally comes out of me. Yeah.
So I know you compose some of your own music. So what is that like, kind of composing? I know coming from a background of playing an instrument, how does that really play into that?
Typically, for me, it happens two different ways, although I'm now exploring new ways with my wonderful producer of songwriting. But typically, it'll be, sometimes I literally will wake up with a melody, or I might just be playing around on guitar, and then something will just come. And then from there, I just build with what comes naturally. And then other times, it comes from like a thought or an idea or a conversation that I'm having with myself or with God or with friends. And then it'll just build from that concept. And a lot of times, the melody tends to come with the concept too, which is kind of weird, I guess, but it works out like that for me usually.
Yeah. And so with a little bit of the God aspect in mind, how does that faith you have connect to your storytelling? Because it's really entwined into all of your music that you do. Like, how does that connect for you?
Absolutely. My faith is everything to me. It's I think people can tell that there's a lot of love at the base of my music, and that comes from my faith and my understanding that God is with me through everything, and He's the one that's fueling the music that I'm producing. And music is spiritual in itself. Like, one of my favorite books in the Bible is Psalms, because it's just the realest, rawest, just chapters and chapters of real, raw feelings of feeling up, feeling down, feeling all over the place. And you get to witness like the essence of like songwriting and poetry in that. And so I feel like that book most relates to me, and you can see a lot of that in my music, of just the vulnerability and the love at the base, because at the end of the day, I want people to know that they're seen and they're not the only one that's going through stuff. And so I hope that is what my music can communicate to people.
So you did release a few songs with being the 2022 Amplify Washtenaw Fellow. What was that experience like for you, and how did that really go on your trajectory of being, a musician and getting out there?
Yeah, that experience was amazing. To this day, I sing them praises because they are just an amazing community of people. And that was actually my first venture out as far as being a singer-songwriter, because they were reaching me at a period where I was just transitioning from violin to now leaning into music more. And being a part of that experience was amazing because I felt so like seen, and I was surrounded by people who believed in me even more than I believed in myself. And so I credit them so much to where I am now, because had it not been for them pouring into me and saying, hey, we see you, you should, move forward with that, with that gift or with that talent. So that was amazing. And also being introduced to the creative community as a whole, because it can feel really lonely. And it's so nice to have a community and meet other people that are like you and on their journey too.
So speaking a little bit about your community, you have much love for Detroit, much love for Ipsy. So what is it like sharing your music and sharing these messages with people in your community and performing for them?
Yeah, it feels halfway scary and the other half really good. I say scary because, performing other songs for people is different than performing your own song. And I find that even though I'm sharing something that is from my heart because I love the people and I love music and all that stuff, it still feels very scary because I'm sharing something from my heart. And so it's much more vulnerable than what I'm used to coming out of like classical music and things like that. But it's also exciting because I get reactions from people that, people often say, oh, that touched me. And that's really what I'm trying to do is like, I see you, like with the song Figure It Out. It's like I really want to talk to like those college students who are just coming out and like, or even high school when you're just going into the real world and it's like, this is how it feels, this is how I felt, this is how I still feel. And so it's nice when people are touched by it and they tell me that. So it feels great.
So you are a teacher and a little bit of your passion is there. How do you think the passion of being a teacher and a musician kind of mesh together?
Yeah. Well, I think being a teacher, if you are forced to be super introspective and super reflective, and so that helps with music and with the songs that I write. I think that with every song, there's like a natural part of me that wants to teach a lesson through my songs. And so I do want to, at least for a large portion of my music, maybe not all of it, I want it to be music that kids and adults can relate to, younger people and older people. And so it makes me think of like when I'm writing, I'm thinking, could I sing this to my younger self or could I share this at a high school or something like that? And will there be like a lesson in it? So I think it helps with writing.
So going a little bit off that, what kind of stories and like what is like one message if you had to give for your music, what would you think that you want people to get from that?
That's a great question. Many messages, but probably at the very top is I see you and you are loved and you'll make it through.
Awesome. So what are you most excited to share? I know your debut album is going to be coming out soon. So what are you most excited to share about that project?
Oh my goodness. I'm very excited to be working with my wonderful producer because there are so many sounds that were inside of me that I did not know how to bring out. And so it's so cool to see what that process is like to bring out these sounds that's been in you for years. So I'm super excited about that. And then I'm also excited for me to properly introduce myself to the world because I feel like I haven't done that yet. And you'll notice on the project that it is a little bit of everything. It is a little bit all over the place because that's where I am. And I'm excited for people to journey with me in my journey as an artist, like to come with me on that. And you'll notice that in the music that I'm still here and I'm still figuring it out too. So
that's amazing. And a little bit about like figuring something out. I mean, today with the colors, you got to pick our colors today. What did that kind of symbolize for you, or how did you pick your colors?
Yes, two ways. One is I told you earlier we were talking, and I met this lady at the store, and we had a conversation. It was a great conversation, and she was like, "You know what? I feel like your color is like a green." And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yes." I was like, "Maybe green is my color." So that's half of it. But then the other half is I did like look up the color green, and green is kind of like nature-y and just calming in a sense. And so it was nice to be able to think through that and think about what best reflects my vibe.
And if you had one thing that you would want people to take from you as a person and as a musician, what would that overall, like maybe your vibe in a way, be? What would you want them to come from that?
Yeah, well, style-wise or musically, I am a combination of things, vulnerable sprinkles of country, folk, neo-soul with a hint of gospel. And so they can kind of expect the things that they experience in those types of music in mine. But then from an individual standpoint, I just want people to feel that they are experiencing somebody who's going to be real with them and transparent and does not have a problem with being vulnerable and sharing that vulnerability with the world, so that they know that they're seen. So hopefully people feel that way.
That's amazing. Well, after hearing your unreleased, I'm so excited to be able to hear your debut album.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you so much for coming and helping and doing this today. And I hope everyone will look out for you.
Thank you.